All right, guys. So second video, if you feel like you want, just to kind of go through these first three, right? So the first one, if I notice this graph is already, or this equation is already in my slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, so that's great. So you can see my slope is going to be 4/5, and then my b value is going to be -2. So all I got to do is start with my y-intercept of -2. And then since my slope is 4/5, right, and it's positive 4/5, so I'm going to go up 4, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and then to the right 5, and that should spit me out right there, right? So you can see my rise is 4, my run is 5. I try not to graph those lines as part of my graph, right? Because it should be just a kind of a straight line, and then do the best you can with a straight line. And then you just connect the two, and that's it, right? So that's number one. This is that one that's in point slope form. So if you are comfortable with point slope form, I actually don't. It's kind of easy if you do it, but it's just one more thing to remember. So if you just want to be, you know what, I'm going to get my y by itself, that's totally fine. I need to distribute the -3, right? So I'm going to have, I'll do it off to the side. So I'll have y minus 1 equals, it'll be -3x, and then if I distribute -3 to -4, it's going to be plus 12. And then I'll have to add 1, so I'll get y equals -3x plus 13. Now, you can see a y-intercept of 13 is definitely like way too big. So if you want, you can just kind of, I usually won't give you these graphs right here that only go up to 6. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take all of my axes, and on my y-axis, I'm going to just double them. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. And then you'd have to double them down here too. And you could do that, right? You can just kind of like, write over these things. It doesn't bother me. That's 8, and that one's 12 down there at the bottom. And that's fine. I have no problem with you doing that. You don't technically have to change the x-axis. Just because the y-axis goes by 2 doesn't mean the x-axis has to go by 2. So we can keep it kind of the same. So if my y-intercept is 13, that's like just above 12. And then my slope, right? So my y-intercept is 13. My slope is -3. So down 3 would go from 13 down to 10. And then right 1, and that's technically only right 1, it's not right 2 because I didn't change my x-axis. So down 3, right 1 spits me out right there. And then that graph is totally fine, right? If you wanted to use the point slope form, the point would be 4, 1, and then you could have just done a slope of -3 from there. Then it would have fit on the graph, but like that's okay. You don't have to do it that way. All right, and then we have our last one here. So we have 2x, last one for the video, right? 2x minus y equals 1. Again, this is that what we call standard form, like ax plus by is c. And so as I did on the video, you can plug in 0 for x and get the y-intercept. You can plug in 0 for y and get your x-intercept. And then you just have to connect the 2 points. That actually might be the easiest way to do it. But if you want just kind of one way to do all these problems, that's okay. I'm actually okay with that. And so if that's the case, you're going to need to get y by itself, right? So if we want to do it that way, put it in slope-intercept form, we got to get y by itself. So if I'm going to try and get y by itself, I got to get rid of this 2x. So I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides, right? And that's going to give me -y, right? Because I got a minus y. And then these are unlike terms. You can't combine them. So I'm just going to say -2x plus 1. And in order to get rid of that negative sign, you can multiply both sides by -1. Or that's the same thing as dividing by -1 if I feel like most middle school teachers do it that way. So times -1. And then the negatives will cancel. I'll get y equals, the -1's going to have to distribute here. So you're going to get 2x minus 1, right? So now we have slope-intercept form. My y-intercept is -1. So I'm going to say, all right, well, there's my y-intercept. My slope is 2. So I'm going to say up 2, right 1. Or if I want, I could say down 2, left 1. That's okay too. Doesn't matter. Once I have my 2 points, I just connect them, and then I'm done, right? So those are the first 3. Finish out the next 10. If you finish in class, great. You don't have any homework. I don't think anybody, well, you might, but otherwise, wrap up those 10 for homework, and that'll be it. Good job, guys.